You grew up among mountains, didn't you? Do you also remember the pillars of rock and clay pinning the sky in place? Out here, it's so much more grand. My eyes, even after all this time, still trick me into thinking it will bow inward and fall upon me. To look as far out as the horizon goes and see more clearly than ever before that the sky does not end in our eyes. It is either humbling or terrifying, depending on whether your soul is one to accept change, and how small, and therefore insignificant, your world really is. I was once too fearful to see how wide this sky is, and how well it stands on its own with no pillars. I thought that I needed to provide my own, and build up a new foundation on which it could stand. Others thought similarly to me. They brought me into their fold, gave me a script, and directed me against our enemies. You can understand the shame, so there is no need to explain why I am struck with that I was ever close to such activity. But I am grateful that I can say that I am not guilty of being associated for very long. It did not take a while for my attention to be drawn to the way my words were being warped by those who had called themselves my brothers in ideology. I was unknown enough at this point to finish the tablets I had been commissioned for and then slip away into memories passing by. I removed myself while I recognized that I still had room to learn and adjust before I set my flag down for good. Need you know the name of my would-be enemies? You know what a man like me is like in that fervor. A proper name for the other would be meaningless for the purpose of explaining the sickness of that hate, and I wish to save what has survived of my soul. I watched from the hilltops and dunes as those who would have once been my brothers leapt into the massacres they so desired, and cleansed their cities with salt and blood. I looked at the stylus I used to support their cause, the sharp tip under my thumb, and I felt the ice of death itself ensnare my soul for a moment. I withdrew from larger life and went back to my birthland to contemplate. There the mountains of my home were supports for my psyche, but the longer I remained, I began to see those mountains curling down. I knew they were going to close down over me and crush me like meat between teeth. So I went further afield, beyond the reach of my bounded mountains, and now, escaped from the pillars on which I based the hatred I almost joined, only here do I now feel shame. So, this is what it's like to be corralled and persecuted by fear. Be it my own or not, it came from those words. I'd laugh if it would not snap my lungs off with the stress to do so.